Now, people living in a block of flats known to have potentially unsafe insulation say their worst nightmare came true today when a fire broke out. It caused extensive damage to a second-floor flat, but thankfully no one was hurt.
But residents say it could have been much worse. They're locked in a dispute over who should pay to have the insulation replaced. Here's our chief reporter, Dave Guest.
It was during the early hours of this morning that a fire broke out in the second-floor apartment at Imperial Point on Salford Quays. What was the scene that greeted you when you opened your front door?
A lot of smoke, Didn't see any flames, just smoke.
There's been extensive heating there for that door to do that. Right.
The smoke even came up to here on the 11th floor. But it was scary stuff because there's been a change in procedure from actually being told to stay put in the building to now get out as fast as you can on the back of the Grenfell recommendations.
Also on the back of the Grenfell disaster, the exterior cladding on Imperial Point was inspected in January 2018. It was found to contain flammable insulation. Mariam and Ian say they only found out in May 2019 when they were attempting to remortgage their flat.
We actually found out there was a report that potentially relayed there were some issues with the cladding in the building.
And then last night there's a fire. Must have brought your worst nightmare to life.
Absolutely. We didn't know how many of our friends that live here also were still potentially trapped.
And residents say they feel trapped by the whole cladding issue, having been told by the management company Emerson they'll have to pay to put it right.
How do I raise the money on a building which has no fire certificate? I can't get a mortgage.
We can't even look into moving away.
So the residents are being hit by a double whammy of worries. They're in a building that has potentially dangerous insulation on the outside of it. They're facing a huge bill to have it put right. And then their concerns about safety, brought home to them all too clearly by the events of earlier this morning. Hardly surprising then that when a senior manager from Emerson arrived while we were filming, the residents wanted to have a word.
Before you disappear, can we not have contact? Not on camera, there's a statement.
Peel owns the freehold to the building and describes itself as a responsible freehold owner. It also says, as the management company, Emerson is responsible for day-to-day liaison with the leaseholders. For their part, Emerson say they've kept residents fully updated in writing and have held meetings with residents' groups. The people of Imperial Point, meantime, say they just want to feel safe in their own homes without having to pay a fortune to do so. Dave Guest, BBC North West Tonight, Salford Quays.